Hi, I'm Vera Franklin with our ministry. Our focus is to get the word out to the public regarding beneficial information for the body of Christ and our community. This is a Big Don production, and you can catch our live stream on the following platforms: Apple TV, Roku TV, YouTube, Facebook Live, KMI 2024 ORG, Cross TV, the Apple iPhone app, and the Android app. And you can also watch us on KMI USA app and on YouTube on the Jerry Green channel. Now, I'd like to introduce my guest for today, and we have Pastor Donald Morris. Welcome to the show, Donald.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be here today with you. It's my first time being here side by side with the great Sister Franklin.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so we have you here today. Pastor Morris, can you tell me just a little bit about what you've done for our community?
Well, I've been a part of the community for, at least 40, 50 years, and have worked with a lot of great people, doing a lot of great things. Started with, unity in the community when I was like 29, 30 years old, and did a number of outreach efforts and, things, brothers getting busy. Wherever there was, whatever I could put my hands to, had always been motivated to want to work with people, help us to, to go to a different level of thoughts and things, the ideas that we could do. And I remember when I was working at the Hill Neighbor Corporation over on Congress Avenue, when it was Roger Everson and was my executive director. And I used to do a lot of outreach work when I was younger. And so what I got used to working with the community, hearing the concerns, the problems. And we started the youth organization over there when I was young, and called Youth Organizing Under the Hill. And so, it's always been for me to be able to work with our people. As someone coming from the 60s, actually when I was young, 14, 15 years old, when I was really young, we had a lot of concerns back there as we have today. But what it was, we had a lot of organizations across the country that was working for, the African American cause. H. Rap Brown, Huey Newton, the Black Panthers. We had Malcolm X, we had Martin Luther King. We had Angela Davis. We had a lot of people across the country that were standing up for the civil rights of our people. So me being young, always followed those that were older than us. They kind of trained us to follow them and some of the issues that that were affecting us as a people. And as time had moved on, they moved on, and life has moved on. It brought another generation like myself who kept kept that effort. And so over the years, like I say again, I've been in a lot of things, that I could really talk about. The Gospel Fest, I did that for 27 years. And that came from unity in the community before I was even had given my life to Christ.
Oh, wow.
So God was nurturing me then and brought me years later with Apostle Brunson, Wayfaring Ministry. We did prayer walks in the community. Whenever there was a problem, particularly where it was like gang violence or things of that nature, we started an organization called Brothers Getting Busy, where we would go to street corners or neighborhoods where there was violence going on, just to bring a message to how important it was for us to stay united and not destroy one another. And we're still at that place today. But so it's been a lot, that I participated in along the way. So I thank God for that.
Well, thank you so much for your service to our community. I understand that you're a pastor currently, and there's been some issues that's been going on in our area, in our community regarding the EBT and this SNAP program. Now, I did some research about that. It says the EBT in the United States is Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, called SNAP, formerly known as the food stamp program. And I don't know if you remember years ago when the food stamps first came out, back in the 90s, it was paper, and it has now since graduated to electronic. Um, so before um, in the 1990s. It went back to when after the Depression, people couldn't find work, they couldn't find food. So the government prepared the food stamps from the federal government.
Mhm.
That's where it originally came from. Um, and so it was the goal there was to help low income or no income families or persons to have adequate nutrition, where even in this day and time we still finding ourselves um, where there's a lack of food, but there's plenty of food,
Mhm.
which is
Mhm.
kind of strange. How
Mhm.
could there be a lack of food but plenty of food?
Mhm.
However, the times have changed now. The farmers, they're not treated the same. The way they purchase their food, they changed a lot of our uh, molecules of food. I mean, chicken is no longer real chicken.
Mm.
It's made out of some vegetables.
Mhm.
Watermelon, if you don't have the black seeds in it, it's white seeds. So it's the food has been changed quite a bit. However, can you tell me what you have noticed or what has you been made aware of, or what's going on in our communities regarding EBT or SNAP program?
Right. Well, as you know, we as the African American community, when I was going, we used to have businesses that we owned.
Mhm.
Now, if you look around, we don't own anything inside the urban community. Some of the, and that's a big concern there because we have a lot of other different nationalities that are coming into our communities now, opening up stores. Don't know a lot about our customs, know a lot of ways, but what it is now. So, they're just selling us any kind of thing. Now they got pipes inside, smoking, different things that you can get high. You can walk in a
Mhm.
store and get high. Your children going into a store and buy paraphernalias out of a food store, and all this is being brought into our community as a way of just taking what little money we do have out and sending it other places. um, the reason why that I thought this was a good conversation today and coming to sit and talk with you because recently, as it relates to the EBT, the cards, um, about 3 Sundays ago, it was a very surprising. One of my members stood up because we have a testimony time in our church. So
Okay.
anybody can stand, everybody that testimony before we go into the services, they give a testimony. And one of the testimony was that, one of the sisters stood up and said that she had $940 taken from her EBT card. I said, wait a minute, $940. The whole church stopped and looked at that because I met with some other people that had some EBT cards in the church. She
Wow.
said, yeah. She said, I had $940. Well, how did how did how did they take $940 from your EBT card, and how do you know that they did it? And she this is what she said. She said she never had an opportunity to use that particular card to be able to buy food, but she went down to the local store outside our church, went down there, and that was the only time that she had used that card, the EBT card, in
Wow.
that particular store. That's why she said, I know it was that store that got me for the nine. So we said after service, we're going to go down to the store, right? So after service was over, we all walked down to church, walked down, a few of the members walked down and asked the guy about, what she had mentioned. He said, oh, no, of course, no, it didn't happen from here and stuff like that. But she says, yes. She kept saying, yes, you're the only one I gave the card to and use my card. Oh, no. Then another guy, Indian guy, came from across the street. I guess they had two stores there.
Okay.
So what he did is he ran a record, you know, for the sales of that day that she said that the money was missing. And so while we were going back and forth, we said, no, it was this store. So I knew it wasn't going to go anywhere. So we said, okay, we'll be back, further on this matter. Um, so I told my member to call Hartford to get a printout of everything she spent
Okay.
so we would know where that $940 went and where it came from. And it was that store.
Wow.
But it was actually what it was. The money was taken in two parts: 400 and something dollars the first time, and then later on another 400 and something dollars was taken from it. And so that's where it actually started from there, And so once we showed him, went back to the store, showed him, and it was still got to be. So we called the police. We called the police department.
Okay.
We called the police department, sat down with the police department. She explained her with the police department. My wife was there as well with her. And so, but guess what? After the conversation, the police department said there's nothing that they could do.
So all that, you proved the fraud, but there was nothing you could do
Nothing that we could do to get that
to
$940 back.
rectify the matter.
Right. And even when they called Hartford, to the EBT office, and explained what happened, what it is, they're saying that there was nothing they could do, because and we found out they don't have a fraud department inside of that organization to be able to follow through on, money being skimmed from the card.
Wow, that's kind of scary. So anyone can get your number, your information. What can we do to protect ourselves? Did they make any suggestions?
Well, here's what they didn't make. The only suggestion they made, which as we talk today, it needs to go out there. Change your EB card number every now and then. Every 60 days, change the card number. You know why? Because what it is that our people are so friendly with local, store owners, rather than they're us or someone else. If you're going someplace all the time, you get to know the person, they know your name. Matter of fact, they get to know your number.
Yeah.
They get to know your number because, oh, yeah, Betty, yeah, come on in, we'll get what you want and so forth. And they got Betty, no, don't worry about it, to give the car. But alongside some of these machines where they swipe it, they have another machine that, what it records your number that you swiped. And they hold that number and they can use that number anytime they want to.
Yeah, so the stores, a lot of the stores have the skimmers that we've been made aware of. If you go to the gas station, if you go to certain places, yeah.
Yeah.
So they made it convenient. They took away the dollars where you had to count out the fives, the tens, the ones,
right.
the 50s, the 20s. I don't know if they had hundreds. I'm not sure back then. So they changed that. So now it's electronic. So it automatically comes off the card. Um, and it's a electronic benefit transfer, EBT. That's what it is. And it's been implemented since 2024.
Right.
But so that money is immediately gone, and there's no way to
And
replace
that's the
it.
sad. That's the sad part about it. I may be a pastor, but most of my life has been an activist. To a large degree, it has always bothered me how we allow these kind of things to happen, but unknowingly. Unknowingly. But what it is that what we want to get across today is that if you use your EBT card, ask for a receipt. If you go in that store and spend $20 or $30, whatever it may be spent, so many stores they don't find out they spent $65. You spent 25, 30, but you spent $65.
Yeah, I think they're able probably to tack on a little bit more.
Well, yeah, because if they got this sister that was $940, and she didn't know until she couldn't use the card no more.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what. Imagine what they do to a senior citizen, and we want to let all the senior citizens that get that check once once a month. You get that money once a month, and you feel used. And here's the thing: after we went through it, I got a sound system, and we went into the community and mentioned this inside that community, concerning the EBT cards. And I pointed out the two stores where the problem was, concerning it, because what it is that we were faithfully going, and one woman came, at least 19 people told me they had did it to them when we was walking around the community.
Oh, wow.
And they pointed out the store. One girl, she got in front of the microphone and said, "Yeah, Eddie, and you've been robbing me." She said, "You've been robbing me. Yeah, you've been doing it. You taking our money and stuff like that." She said, "Matter of fact, I asked you for a quart of milk one time. Just give me a quart of milk and I'll pay you back later. You wouldn't even give me a quart of milk after all that money I was spending with you and taking from me." I mean, it's she said it right clear, and all the people began to come out and say, "It happened to me. It happened to me."
So, so we see that people in our neighborhood are being taken advantage of, and it seems to be in the community where you were speaking of. But we don't know how many more communities that this is going on. Um, we say that, EBT was originally designed for low income families
Hmm.
or no income families.
Right.
And they're already in a place to where um, they're having difficulties, but now you can't even get your food that you're going to eat with because of these fraudulent practices. Um, we need to be more aware of what is going on in our neighborhood and in our community. We need to be more careful with our information.
Mhm.
I mean, identity theft is rampant. There's on TV, there's ads about how to protect yourself, but EBT fraud is also rampant,
Mm.
and there's no precautions put in place to where if your money is stolen for your food, you can't get it back.
Right. Right.
So you can there's things that you can do, as Donald Morris has said, you can when you go to the store, get a receipt so
That's
you
the
have a
first thing.
record of what you purchased.
Right.
If you find out something is going on, make a police report. It may not seem like, you don't want the police to come, but if you don't report it, then there's definitely nothing that can
But
be done.
but see, this is another thing. But we want the police. Once you get everything lined up,
Mhm.
and you know that you've been taken advantage of, then okay, like we had our sister do from our church, is get a printout from Harvard.
Okay.
They have a printout of everything because you notice that once you buy somewhere from an EBT card, it tells you how much money you got left over.
Right.
So they have it automatically know what you spent, where you spent it from, and how much you spent. You can get a printout. You know, that's what can I have a printout? She had gotten a printout.
Okay.
Took her a couple of days to get the printout. So that when she got the printout, it showed where she, spent the money of, what came off that particular card. And then they had a little mark where it looked like that as though if something went wrong, this wouldn't look right. So she had that, and she had the store's name on it where she had spent the money from.
Mm.
So when we went back actually to the same store that the $940 had came from, we showed the man, they were still in denial. They were still in denial. That's why we had to call the police. You know what I mean? We had to call the police because that's $940. So when we sat down with the police, so let's explain this to everyone is that number one, don't be afraid that if you feel you've been taken advantage of, you've been skimmed, to call the police as though you're somebody snitching on. So that's your money
Mm.
and you ain't getting it back. You want your money. And then the sad part that if you get saved $300 a month, and we'll talk about this other matter in a minute, but if you get $300 a month, and that's all the food money you get, when that goes, you ain't got no more food money. And so what it is, so if they took half of that money from you along the way, little by, you only got $150 you can spend, but you was given $300.
Mhm.
And they get the senior citizens ask for a receipt. They get the disability people on disabilities, people that can't even hardly make it, people that call people to do, shopping for them.
Right.
You know, they're taking advantage. That's the sad part about it. And so what it is that we have to get receipts. Just don't take it for granted. I don't think $10, give me a receipt. Because we're good. So, oh no, we don't worry about it. We're good for that. We go to the gas station, spend our money. Oh, we're good for that. I don't need a receipt. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, they know it's almost like a psychology. We know how people are.
Mhm.
We know what they ask for and what they won't ask for. Once they know you don't ask for something, that's like a circulation that goes around to all the crew that do this on a day-to-day basis. That's how they make their money, you know. And so I did not want, to allow that to happen in our community over in church and chapel.
Uh-huh.
It got quiet after I went out there with a sound system and had some people, and we began to explain on the corner what has happened. Matter of fact, we had a big uh, A board we put out there. We put EBT problem,
Okay.
EBT problem, so that everybody was kind of like warned who had heard the message. It got silent. It got silent once we had went out there. and be able to let people know what was going on in the community. So receipts are very, very important, and so that you know how much you spent. The other thing is that, like, we had just mentioned, we should change our EBT number at least every 60 days. At least every 60 days, change your EBT card number, because that way, what I'm saying, you're making it difficult for them to be able to take advantage of you, and number one, if you think you have been skimmed, go back to that store and say, listen, I spent $30 a little while ago, you got 65. Make that a problem. Make that a problem. So my family and I will come back and talk with you concerning it. So whatever it may be. But my whole church went back to that store for $150. Come on now. It wasn't my money, but listen. But if I don't stand up for her as a pastor, you know what I mean, or go back, as a pastor, you know what I'm saying, and know that she got that money, no. So she couldn't get it back. So we raised money anyway to give it to her. Not the $940, but we did bless her.
Right.
Because she needed food.
Right. And the thing about it, they had the money and still wouldn't honor money.
Wouldn't
honor with anything that they could have just gave her the groceries or whatever.
Right.
But still refused to honor. And they were caught.
And I forgot to mention, and one of my other members said, well, they got me too, but they gave me my money back.
Oh. So after you went on and made the problem aware to the neighborhood.
Yeah, they gave her her money
back.
And that's what we have to do. When unrighteousness, unfairness is coming at us, we have to go through a future mindset that if they got one, they got all of us. If you took advantage of one of us, then that you took advantage of all of us. And sometimes we don't want to do it because for whatever reason that we don't want to do. Well, I don't want to make no problem. That's a problem if you can't eat.
It's a major problem.
Yeah, if you can't eat, that's a major problem. Because what's the next thing you're going to do? If you can't eat, you're going to go steal. You're going to go someplace to get some kind of money, put something. And that's what's coming against us as a people, that we're in a collective need. We're in a collective need, and we have to do have more meetings on these issues so that, we can all sit down, discuss them, and address them collectively. Because one person, two people, they got you, you don't know how many people will be.
Okay. Well, thank you, Donald Morris. Thank you so much for talking about the problem in our communities with this fraud with the EBT cards. We need to be aware, make sure we get a receipt. Most of the time, the money is not returned. There's not a fraud committee or anything that we have, like for our regular cards, our credit cards, our bank cards, where they can track it. But we can track our own. We have the ability to get our receipts. If there's an issue, make a police report so everyone knows about what's going on. And if you face that problem or someone that you know has faced a problem, please do that. Another thing we can do is we can change our contact code, that number that you have to do, change it at like every 30 to 60 days. That way they can't get in and take your money. So Donald Moore, it's been a pleasure to have you here with us today. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
No, I mean, like I say that, we just have to be, I think we spoke about it one time, so that people perish from a lack of knowledge. It's knowledge and education, the more that, because we have a generation that, like I say, is really lacking the kind of education that we've had coming up, you know what I'm saying? And they're without that knowledge. So they just accept whatever comes their way, thinking that's the way of life, and so those of us, who are mature, seeing this discussion, tell a friend, especially tell all of the senior people, get receipts. So if you send someone to the store, make sure you get receipts when they come back. So, so long as we keep doing this kind of thing, little by little, we'll have ripple effects. And I thank God for this opportunity just to talk about it today.
And Donald, if we'd like to contact you, tell us where your church is. Tell us where we can come.
Yeah, well, you can contact me at 203-624-9228. That's 203-624-9228. Now I can run to everybody talk about this, but on this issue, call, and call me and like what it is, if I can be assistant in the kind of way to help you with information. My email address is christian.ccc at yahoo.com. That's christian.ccc@yahoo.com. You can email me and however I can be assisting you help, and we can go from there.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us today and discussing this horrible problem that we're having with EBT funds being stolen from our community members. Thank you so much for turning into Word Out Ministry today. Thank you so much for being my guest today, Mr. Donald Morris.
Amen.
And thank you, viewers, for tuning in. You have a